Okay, so we got gear progression guide, straightforward. This is more ideal for reboot or self-progression on normal servers, although I guess some information is either less relevant or not as available, I guess. Some methods are not as available on regular servers compared to this guide that I'm going to be publishing out for you guys. Um, it looks like this, pretty in-depth, I guess, for the most part. I broke it down in a couple phases. I'm not done adding the images like I did here, but I will finish that soon. Um, Useful links. Anything in blue has a link, hyperlinked. You can just click it, and you can refer to more information on that. If I saw that maybe something needed more explanation, I added a hyperlink for you. All right, top of the list, general tips, anything that's helpful, things that maybe new players, even veterans might not know. Some things are more beneficial when you follow a general consensus of the efficiency routes to take when you're progressing in your account or in the game in general. So I would recommend going over these, but long story short, it's helping you focus on links in Legion, which I have a video on and a spreadsheet on that explains everything. Um, Abuse your events, play on your main, either just doing your dailies or grinding, but just make sure you're logging in every day and doing at least dailies, and of course your events. Getting boss mules will expedite your process of getting to, I'm assuming, whatever goal you have set out for yourself, whether it's Legion or what have you. Boss mules means more money, means more an income of cubes, which you can get these hard cubes and even solid cubes, which are the best cubes, I guess, when it comes to free content here. Um, anyway, general potential guide for upgrading and what to do in certain scenarios. Little meso tips here. Monster Park explanation as to why it's so powerful. Enhancing item tips. If you're getting carries, please pay attention to this part. It's vital. In order to keep spares, why you keep spares, what they're there for really, and how it helps you progress faster in a more efficient way, utilizing your mesos to every last bit of value. And then, of course, spend your mesos on event if you can. I know some people can't necessarily play and then just kind of sit there with mesos. Well, if you're more of a daily player, you just log in, do your dailies, log off. It's a little easier to maintain this, but regardless, I recommend saving your mesos for just events. And then extra flames and how to use them, I briefly go over that as well. So phase one, let me zoom in here for you. Phase one, we have the base level. You just hit 140 or even carrying on to 200 rather. I'll specify general level consensus here. So penciler, whatever. You got your shoes, gloves, overall hat, and weapon. Those are the mandatory 5 here. If you're kind of like a self player, you're gonna end up on this cape. You're not gonna have Tyrant. You're not gonna have Chaos Agum. Your normal level 100 emblems, and offhand, I'm gonna show you what that is here. This you just get for getting to level 100. Some classes you have to accept the quest. Some you can go to a store and pick it up. I think Kaiser and Angelic Buster can do that. Not sure about after the Dreaming patch where AB gets reworked, but regardless, for offhand, you have a couple of options. You can do the Princess Note, which is slightly better than the standard. The standard, I believe, is 884, like 8 main stat, 8 substat, and 4 weapon or magic attack. I got the frozen one here. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter too much. But if you're really min-maxing, or if you're a Night Lord, I recommend getting the Princess No Charm because you really want your marks to one hit. Same with Nightwalker. But yeah, going back to the guide, I kind of put a little title or a category for these. For Horntail, you will be getting the Silver Blossom Ring, the Deep Sea or Deep Sidious earrings. I'm not sure what it's called exactly. You got your Chaos Pendant or your normal Horntail Pendant. Magnus, you're gonna have the shoulder, the badge. If you are getting carries, you're gonna want to use the Tyrant Cape. In hard carries, you should also get the Nova set, but at the end of the day, whatever's stronger for you, whatever gives you the most damage, just go with that. Just go with sheet damage. When I say sheet damage, I'm referring to this number here. Like, if I use this Shinobi Bracelet level 55, I'm going to lose 15 million damage. Or, what? Yeah, 15 million damage. Like, obviously I'm not going to switch to that. But if I use something like, I don't know, insert another item that has a stat like this, where it's blue, I'm just going to switch to that. Later on, you don't really want to follow sheet damage. Sheet damage is just the number displayed outright, like on the item when you hover over it, because there are set bonuses to consider. There are ignore defense, boss damage, crit damage, things that don't necessarily reflect on this white or red number. I'm back. Zakum. Normal Zakum will give you the eye and the face, so will Chaos Zakum. Arcarium, Mechanator Pendants. You'll be using this probably for a while if you can't get a Dominator Pendant. If you do get a Dominator Pendant, you're going to be using that for a long time. Keep your spares because you will use them for your superior Golux items eventually. If you're able to get a Chaos Zakum carry, the belt's kind of nice. And the cape, I guess, too, if you for some reason can't get the Tyrant one. Princess Note, Kana's Treasure Ring, get as many as you can. As many as you can, get a carry if you can, get someone with high drop rate. Pink Bean, this cup is going to kind of hold you over for a while, or a long time. I mean, I'm still using it. Like, and I'm 275, 53k stat buffed. Yeah. Going back. Keep your extra belts as well. And then for eye accessory, you would have the black bean mark. Again, just like the Dominator Pendant, you're going to have this for a while, although spares aren't necessarily that mandatory. I got mine for 20 to 20 stars, and I'm still using it now. Going to enhancing items. Oh, also, I guess I should clarify, you have the items you should have, or at least be striving to get, the enhancing items, what you're doing in this phase to get better items, and the goals, which will help you get better items, level, unlock content, what have you. Here, strongly recommend getting all items except Magnus Cape, boots, and belts, specifically Magnus items that are these three. Get them all to 10 star. If you are brand new, just a quick little 5-second detour, you can just click this little red hammer, drag an item in here, and then enhance here. That's what I mean by star forcing. Yeah, 10 stars gives you a little bit of damage. It'll help you farm. It'll help you clear mobs in one hit. That's the main goal right now. Just get everything to a decent stat so you can one-hit mobs, which will expedite your leveling process, assuming you're not just a daily player. Arcarium Pendants, you can go to 15 to 17 stars because you will be using them almost forever until you get Source of Suffering, or actually that's really it, to be honest. Your backups will go into Superior Golux Pendants, which will save you a bunch of money and save you a bunch of Golux coins, which in turn saves you a bunch of dailies that you have to reluctantly do, but you gotta do them. You can safeguard Dominator's Pendants from 15 to 17 stars. What that means, again, if you're new, go here to your Transfer Hammer, or not Transfer Hammer, your Enhancement Hammer. Click here, drag your item over. This safeguard here, let me give you actually something I can safeguard. Everything's 17 stars. Oh, that's a lie. I boomed my internal terror, or endless terror. So if I click safeguard, keep note of the mesos here. It doubles, but reduced chance of item destruction to 0. Kind of a big deal when it's an item you don't have easy access to. I'll go into more detail later on with that. Potential. Epic potential on everything that falls under this category, basic boss accessory. Get one line of 6% stat, or even if you get that 6% stat on rare, keep that. Not necessarily pushing for epic here. Of course, if you have extra cubes, might as well throw them on the more important items, which I go over here. Silver Blossom Ring, which is from Horntail, Black Bean Mark, which is from Pink Bean, Kana's Treasure, Princess No, and then the Arcarium Pendants. Your level 100 emblem, and your offhand, or otherwise known as secondary, I should have clarified there. You can push these potentials to unique or legendary. The main reason you want to prioritize these over anything when you're looking at really skyrocketing your damage ASAP is because attack or magic attack percent, depending on your class, if you use int or not, um, gives you the biggest damage amplifier early on, and the damage you get for Meso, just nothing really tops it this early in the game. If you're getting carries, some situations call for ignore defense and boss damage. The reason I say this is because when you are getting carries, you get Mesos a lot faster. For example, I'm carrying someone now and they're getting easily 400 mil a week just because they can deal 5% damage. But their emblem literally rolled 70% IED or ignore defense. So they kind of open up their horizons when it comes to the content they can clear and the speed of progression that they have access to. This, if you don't want to wait for your Princess Note offhand, again, that's the one that's slightly better than the traditional level 100 offhand or secondary, better known. Really, any class that doesn't have floating items or heat-seeking skills, you can just. I'd recommend just waiting for the Princess Note offhand. Yeah, it might be 2-3 weeks without one, but that damage boost might help. Now, if you're doing dailies. If you're not doing dailies and you're constantly grinding, then just use your normal level 100 item. You don't have to push for the Princess Note. At least not that early. Goals. When you're in phase 1, you're probably level 200 to 210. Do your Absolab weeklies, so that way when you start having the damage to clear, or at least do the 5% damage required to get a carry for Lotus and Damien, otherwise known as Lomian here, you can then get your Absolab items faster, which means faster clears, which means better EXP, which means faster dailies as well. And ultimately, the most important goal, if you are getting carries, or even struggle parties, is you unlock hard Lomian, or even Lucid if you hit 220 soon. You unlock your avenues. You unlock the ability to join a struggle party, or have a carry, and start getting your endgame items a lot faster. Do your 5 Root Abyss runs once a day, unlocks Chaos Root Abyss for phase 2. And then in solo runs, just try and do 5%, and then ask for carries if you can. There are some guilds that carry on boss mules if you need something in this phase 1 here. Although this one might be a little more difficult, this is more specifically for the people that are 220, have some couple note stones under their belt, which I strongly recommend. I'm going to add that on here, but I didn't put emphasis on how powerful nodes are. Yeah, so you're going to want to do 5 damage of Helix, 5% total damage of Helix's HP, which is the hardest version of Golux. Reminder, you can only enter once a day whether you clear it or not. And if you are getting carries, I believe it's 15 or 13% of the first phase that you have to clear. So when Golux drops to 87% health, or just to be safe, 86.9%, you can let your carry come in and clear it. I'm going to bounce this up to 18%. I'm a lot more confident with that number. So yeah, like I said, level up to 220. Unlock content as fast as you can at this point. Save all your Twisted Times, your Primal Essences, your Philosopher's Stones. These are your Twisted Times. They fall from any mob really when you start grinding. These are your Primal Essences. They sell for 10 mil in the shop. I promise you it's not worth selling it. 10 mil sounds like a lot. Later on, that's less than chump change, I promise. And then Philosopher's Stones, you can get these by disenchanting your items or salvaging them in Ardent Mill. I don't really have a guide for that at the moment, but I can link one in the guide eventually. And then start saving your soul weapon shards. What that is, right here, when you kill a boss, you'll get one of these little shards. 10 of them. When you double click them, gives you the options, not options, gives you the chances of what you can get. You're going to aim for Magnificent because they do not expire and they give you the best possible lines, or I guess additional stat when you equip it to your weapon. There at the bottom you see Magnificent Magnus, applied soul, boss monster damage plus 7%. There are a specific line of, or a specific set of bosses that have the best the best potential lines or bonus stat that you can get, and this is it. Again, that's in the guide. And of course, level your Legion. All right, phase 1 took a while, but now that I've explained a lot, this will be a little bit quicker. Now, phase 2, items you should have or should be working towards are the Chaos Root Abyss, hat top bottom, and a weapon if you can. Unless you got Absolab, then just use that. Keep your emblems. Please keep your emblems. Don't just spam them out. Don't just double click them nonstop and get these and then throw them away. Hold them because you will want backups in case you blow them up when you Star Force them eventually. Also, they only take 1 slot in your use when they just stack up. And you can see they stack up to 1,000, so you don't need to occupy all your equip space. Absolab, you want to aim for shoes, cape, glove, shoulder, and then a weapon. Again, if you can't get this, that's perfectly fine. If you have the Fafnir weapon or the Chaos Root Abyss weapon, it gives you an additional 30% boss damage. Golux. For Helix, the hardest difficulty, you can get a superior belt and superior earring as a raw drop. When you kill these, you get around roughly 30 coins, which you can use eventually. 700 for a superior ring. Superior ring. Look at that set bonus on the right. Absolutely vital for carries. It helps you so much. So the ring and the pendant you can only buy with coins. You can get the earrings and the belt with just normal drops. I've heard of people not get them in months, but I haven't really experienced that with a lot of people I've carried and myself. Part 2, enhancing items. Get your Absolab and Superior Golux items to Epic. I recommend Epic because you're going to have these items, Absolab at least for a while, and Superior Golux items, you can leave at Epic for the ring, or I'm sorry, for the belt and the earrings, because again, you get duplicates a lot easier than you would if you did dailies for 3 weeks, I think it is, to get 1 superior ring or pendant if you use the coins. And the reason for that, the reason why ideally we hold the superior belt and earrings at Epic is because when you transfer hammer, I'm going to switch back here. When you transfer hammer, which is this blue hammer, you get to pick an item, right? Let's say reinforce, for example. These drop from Helix and hard Golux normally. You pick an item, you see it's level 140, and then you pick an item that's 10 levels or less, and you would then transfer that example. Oh, okay, it's terrifying to even click. You would then transfer these 17 stars, which again, these are easily accessible, to this item. Ignore the stars that this has, and you would get the same amount of stars -1 from the original, and you would keep your epic potential. But you can see this item, my Superior Golux, has legendary potential, and it just disappears here. So keep in mind that's how transfer hammer works. Moving back. Yep, I kind of go into that as well. If you're getting consistent carries for Helix, you can get, yep, kind of went over that as well. All right, sweet. Get your Chaos Root Abyss to 17 stars. At 15 star, before 15 stars, you only get stat. 15 or 16 and 17, you get a nice chunk of weapon attack and magic attack, which really help your damage at the end. You can push these to 21 stars if if you got the money. If an event comes around, you just want to start clearing mobs a little faster and getting your 5% damage for carries in. That's really nice to do. If you are blessed in that position, I recommend it. Chaos Root Abyss, you're going to get to legendary with 15 star or 15% stat, which would be a combination of raw percentage, so like 6% int or 9% int, and then 6% or 9% all stat, or 2 lines of all stat or 2 lines of int, just 15 or more. They're going to be with you basically forever until you reach the damn near end game at this point. Yep, run Helix every day if you can. Save your coins for your 4-set superior. Alright, goals. When you're in phase 2, level up as much as you can. Unlock will, unlock arcane symbols, gives you more damage for Will and Lucid, and the raw stat that you get from these symbols, which is a lot, will also help you for getting that 5% in. Once you hit 260, you get your origin level. Every class has an origin level at 260 when they unlock their 6th job. It's an 8 or 10-second bind for the boss on a separate timer than a normal bind. And you can actually become super useful in a boss fight, and struggle parties are more likely to have you in if you're 260, purely just for that. Also, a lot of classes' origin skill do a ton of damage, but anyway. Arcane symbol weeklies and dailies. All items should have decent to good flames. If you click on here, there's a little more in-depth guide on what that entails when I say decent to good flames. Also a little explanation on what flames are in the first place. Ideally, you want a decent stat with 3% stat. So when we look at a weapon is the only thing that can have attack power or magic attack on it. But let's use the top, for example. You see the green stat on the 24 on Dex, the 40 on Int, the 64 on Luck, and the 6 on All Stat. That's your flames. Again, that guide goes into more in-depth explanation as to what decent or good flames are. Get your mesos from Ursus, your Maplestory, do your weeklies, your boss runs. Well, I guess I clarified weekly boss runs there. If you have time for dailies, you can run them. It's only like 50 mil a day. It's not that great, but I mean, hey, if you don't have anything else to do and you don't have EXP coupons or something, then might as well. Your WSE, you're going to see this a lot in any Maplestory guide in terms of when it comes to progression. WSE stands for Weapon, Secondary, and Emblem. These are the only 3 items that can get percent attack or magic attack and ignore defense. Your secondary, which is your offhand, and your weapon are the only 2 items that can get boss percent or boss damage percent. Keep that in mind. So these 3 items should now have at least 5 total lines of percent magic attack or attack, and then some combination of ignore defense or boss. This might be a little bit expensive, but trust me, this is such a big boost to your damage. But after that's been done, you can probably safely work on your percent stat and your drop gear. I'll go into that shortly. Work on your accessory crafting. This is more of like a 5K than a short sprint. You don't really get rewarded for doing this as soon as possible. It's more so the long haul. Level your Legion to 2 to 4K. Alright, Phase 3. By this point, you should know a decent amount about the game. You should be already into your arcane set. If you don't have all of these, that's okay. Even having 2 is a really big damage boost. 3 is massive. 5 is really where you see the true brute power of this set. Enhancing your items. By now, your emblem and your secondary should have those 5 lines I mentioned. Arcane weapon should have tier 6 or 7 attack and magic attack. Again, if you click this link here, it'll explain what those are. Arcane items should be 17 stars first, then 3-line legendary with 23% stat each. There are no transfer hammer items for arcane items. There's no level 190 items that can transfer into these, so there's no reason to hold any other item to transfer into this. Your backups, well, they are the exact item you're blowing up. So good luck on that. Arcane items should be, yep, 17 stars and then 23% at least stat. Arcane weapon should be 17 stars. Do not pass 17 stars. Here's proof. I'm at 17 stars because once you pass this point, you're kind of wasting your money. It's better to put 22 stars on other items because the gain you get from here is minimal and you're not going to be keeping this forever. Whereas this is transfer hammered, not transfer hammered, anvil. Just a little transmog there for a classic item. Yeah, put 22 stars on these 4. They'll last a lot longer. You'll have them forever as of right now in the game. At this point, you're going to want 21 to 22 star CRA items, 21 to 22 star Conus Treasure and Meister Ring. This is where we scroll up a little bit. That's where this comes into play. Yeah, again, more details if you click that. Shows you the items required for that, the materials. If you are actively grinding and killing mobs, you're going to want to get your meso rate up to 100% first from your items. So that means 5 lines of 20% meso and at least 60% item drop rate on your accessories. That would be 3 lines of 20%. You have 4 rings that can get these lines, your 1 set of earrings, your 2 pendants, your face, and your eye. They can all get drop rate or meso rate. Items must be legendary to get meso or drop rate. Items that have 2 lines of meso, which is less fortunate one, or drop rate should be kept and held for farming. Please bear in mind the max meso rate you can gain from equips is 100%, which is 5 lines, which is why the double meso line is a little bit less fortunate than the drop rate, which would be 200%. You have more room here with 10 lines. Ideally, 2 lines of drop rate is best, but 2 lines of meso can be helpful early on. Not gonna lie, I have 1 double meso item still, and I have a full 100, 200 farming set. Hybrid lines of 1 meso and 1 drop rate are also extremely beneficial. This is probably what you're going to see more of, but I think I have like 4 or 5 items with this. If playing passively, only doing dailies and weeklies, you can prioritize more stat percent on non-farming potential items. What I mean by that is items that cannot get those famous percent drop rate or meso rate. So no rings, no face accessory, no pendant. I'm talking your weapon, your belt, all of this, your hat, your, not your earrings, your shoulders, your gloves, cape, and then these better be up there right now with, at this point, your emblem, your secondary, and then your weapon. Okay. Goals once you're in phase 3. Weekly and boss run. Weekly weekly boss runs and boss mules. Boss mules at this point you should be either striving for, saving for, like for an event to get their items up, or at least conceptualize who your boss mules are going to be and slowly level them up passively if you want, but some progress should be done here, or even some results if you already have them. Aim for pitched items. I go over that in the next part. And Star Force them on event if you can. Backups are not always necessary for pitched items. What this means is when you Star Force your items, you're on event or something, technically speaking, you don't necessarily need backups for these. In a way, it's less selfish to Star Force these when you don't have backups, because then that means another player, if you're in struggle parties, another player can get that pitched item. Because what if you have 3 backups of a Berserked or Endless Terror, and your first one hits 22 stars, which should be the final goal for most players of star enhancing or whatever. Then those 2 other rings could have gone to other players. So technically, it is a little selfish to get more, but you wouldn't be in the wrong. No one would ever fault you for that. Regardless, past our moral high ground here, quote unquote. They're really only worth using if they're 22 stars anyway, in most cases. In my case here, believe it or not, I still haven't gotten a slime ring. I've had well over 80 runs, and I just don't see it. I have 400 drop, or actually 409 plus greed, so 429. I don't understand. I really don't understand. But here we are. Okay, moving on from that sadness. Farm soul Erta fragments with farming gear. At this point, you should have some farming gear. These are your soul Erta fragments. They go into your 6th job, leveling up your skills. They are in high demand. You'll need thousands and thousands and thousands in order to upgrade your skills to max. Which, at this point, a massive damage boost comes from your 6th job levels on your skills. Upgrade your 6th job accordingly. In here, there is a full extended sheet on what you should do, what order you should do for each class. It goes into depth on like what the hexamatrix is, everything. Aim for level 270, 275. You unlock content, you unlock sacred symbols, another massive damage boost. Do Black Mage 8 times. I am a batshit crazy hypocrite. I haven't done this once, but I am starting to study it. Level your Legion 4 to 6k. Okay, this is where I am basically, and I've been playing this game for a while. Now we go here. My goal. Phase 4. At this point, you should already know everything, most everything about the game, or at least in your progression, and what these roads and avenues ahead of you entail. It is not necessarily the most fun, but it is sure rewarding. Pitch boss items. From Hard Damien, you get your magical eye patch. Hard Lotus Berserk. Chaos Gloom, you get Endless Terror. Hard Lucid, Dreamy Belt. Hard Will, Curse Spellbook. Hard Varus Hilla, you get Source of Suffering, which is your pendant. Black Mage, you get your Genesis badge. And your weapon, I guess. Genesis weapon, I should probably add that. Which is your endgame item. It comes 22 star with legendary, or no, I think 3-line unique potential. And no other weapon is better. No exception. Chaos Dark Knell, which is your Command Force Earring. And then your Hard Saren, which is your new emblem. Good luck on getting this. It's awfully rare. I mean, these are all fairly rare, but I mean, I 3-line my emblem, and I can start killing Saren anyway. Enhancing items. At this point, all of your items should be 22 star except for your pitched. Farming, you can push for 22 stars if you really want. I feel like your mesos go better spent if you put them into your boss mules, but that's the beauty of this game. You can kind of do whatever you want. You can follow this as purely as a recommendation and nothing more if you want, or at least something to gauge where you sit. Phase 2, phase 3, phase 1, doesn't matter. I'm just relaying the information to you because I wish I had this information when I started back again in Destiny. We're down here. Okay. 3-line stat items. What that means. Each and every one of your items, except the gloves, I'll go into that in a second. All of your items have 3 lines of stat. Ideally speaking, you would want 30% minimum on your CRA, 33% on your arcane items, not your weapon. Reason for this is a true 3-line is 1 prime, which would be 10% all stat for arcane or 13% flat flat stat, and then another secondary, not primary line, which would be 10% stat or 7% all stat, like you see here. This is 30. This is 33. This is ideally what you're aiming for. This is 30. But the small damage boost is like neither here nor there. But once you're in phase 4, I feel like there's less excuses going around for what you can and can't do and the goals you have surpassed or are aiming for. But I'm not there yet, so you can't laugh at me. Full farming gear, as mentioned before, 5 lines of meso, 10 lines of drop equipped all at once within those 9 items. High flames on all items at this point. You should know what high flames means. Goals, 11 Legion, 6 to 8k. I feel like maybe you should have done this beforehand, before you even got to phase 4. If you are an Explorer Mage or Archer class, there might be some others I'm missing. Sorry to break it to you, you kind of need the 8 to 10k mark. Reason for that is, when you are in the 8 to 10k mark, well, when you're in NK, or 8k, like myself, you can clear or fill out 3 very important parts here. As an Explorer Mage, you need this buff duration, sadly. That 9k might get you there, depending on what levels you got. 10k should get you there for sure. But yeah, unfortunately we got that. And then for archers, you'll want to max this out because any extra crit rate, and I could be mistaken here, I think it's any archer class, or it's just bowmen, or bowmasters. Extra crit rate goes into your damage. On to the very last part here, the goals of phase 4, which is basically endgame. Leveling Legion, I already just went over that. Genesis weapon, you're going to want a 3-line attack percent or 3-line magic attack percent. This weapon, double prime, is ideal if you can afford it, if you got meso to spare, if you got your boss mule set up already. 13 attack, 13 attack, 10 attack. That's what double prime means. And then finally, your soul weapon should also have 3% attack. Okay. All that being said, I am going to add small bits of information to this. I'm going to add more links. I'm going to add more images like I have here, for example. Please, I encourage everyone to at least look into this. Just glaze over it, skim over it, understand what means what. Um, I am just happy to be able to relay information that can help any player, really. Even, I mean, I doubt veteran players don't know all of this, or like the people in Phase 3, even Phase 2, even. Um, but if you have any doubts about progression, if you have any doubts about what to do next, I hope, I hope this answers even one question, because then I know all of this was worth it. But yeah, go ahead and subscribe. 99.7% of you are not subscribed. I don't know what to tell you. And then, yeah, I'm going to be posting more, hopefully, so stick around.